speak to all worship leaders. You are a legend. You are somebody a lot of people look up to. Young people all over. I remember Travis Green the other day was talking to me about your impact on his life. And many young men, those who are coming, talk to them about how to cultivate true worship, especially in this time, because often many have presented worship to the stage light, the sound, the cameras. It's like a performance, but a worship is beyond that. I want to speak to worship leaders, young worship leaders in churches.
When I started leading worship, I was the drummer in the worship team. I had no desire or intention to be out front. And my pastor called me that morning. He said, "Hey, I want you to consider being our worship leader." And I said, "Well, I'll pray about it. All the things you say when you don't want to say no directly to the man of God." And he said, "Okay, fine. Pray hard and pray fast because you start tonight." And he wasn't taking no for an answer. And so I went through a series of weeks where it was just terrible, right? And somebody finally suggested, this should not be the only time per week that you're worshiping God. And that was like revelation. That was 30 years ago, but that was revelation to me. And so I remember going home and putting my piano in the kitchen because I had tile on the floor in the kitchen. It sounded pretty good in there. And I set up a glass and a vase and some salt and pepper shakers and some things on top of my piano. And I was like, "Hey, good morning, church. We're going to worship God today. Let's go." And I know I sounded like a crazy person, but I led inanimate objects in worship, not to get a response from them, but to learn what moved the heart of God. And that was my prayer. God, if you've called me to lead worship, then teach me how to worship you. Now, I don't care if you've been at this for 30 years or 30 days. That should be your prayer, because ultimately I'm not leading the front row in worship. I'm entertaining the King. The King has summoned me to entertain him. So if I do that, right, then he ministers to the front row and the back row alike. He heals the body. I don't care how good I sing. I cannot bring anybody's healing about, but God can. So if I move the heart of the King and his hand touches the room, boom. So every worship leader, my challenge is, while you're stuck in quarantine here, while you're waiting, don't waste your waiting. Get into the presence of God. Who cares who's around? And just entertain the King. Just entertain the King. Just start there. Songs will come, melodies will come, different songs will come about, but that's not even the point. The point is, I feel God smiling on what is happening right now, here in my living room, here in my kitchen, here in my bedroom. Every worship leader should never go, "Well, I've arrived. I've logged enough hours on stage, so I don't need to do that at home anymore." No. The more you've done, the more you should be doing at home. That's just my opinion. And I'll tell you what it does. It creates an atmosphere for God to show up and do miracles within your household every time you do it.